start that one. Okay, guys, what I did do is I promised Sean. So we've been going through the material extremely slowly. So I promised Sean that I will give him something that will stimulate his mind. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a photo of the name plate rating of the solar panel, of the solar panels that we are using here. And then I'm going to put it on the screen. And this next short section, oh, I can't take a photo because the camera is busy recording. Let's find, and I'm going to use a data sheet quickly. Nope. Let me see if I can find the generic data sheets. So on the back of a solar panel there is a sticker, and every single solar panel should have a sticker. When you buy solar panels that are extremely cheap, and I don't want to say like panels from the China Mall, but I've seen some panels from the China Mall. If you look at the panel on the back, some of those panels don't even have stickers. These professionally printed stickers. I've seen panels at the China Mall where they used white stickers and they wrote the data on by hand. So you have to be awake when you start looking at solar panels. So because I promised Sean I would give him something to tweak his mind, Sean felt that we must be very close to being done with all the material. So I thought I would give Sean something to fire up his mind. Okay, so what we are looking at the moment is the same information that we see on the back of a solar panel. And I don't know whether you guys want to come and stand somewhere or because I can't exactly pass this thing around. I use smaller panels and it makes it easier for me to handle them. Maybe if you guys look at that. So the information that's on the back of the panels, maybe you guys, I'll organize a different panel for the other half of the class. And you guys can come and have a look at the information over here. So all of the information that's on the sticker over there. Can I ask you a favor? Can you drop that in the WhatsApp group? Or if you can even WhatsApp it to me, then I can put it on the screen. Okay, so these values, what we see over there is for one solar panel. So what we are seeing on that silver sticker is actually that stuff in the large rectangle. So all of the information we see over here normally appears on those silver stickers. Did you drop it in the group?
Yes.
Thank you. Now, if I'm going to take this, let's just see if I can just save it to downloads, and then I can open it up. That's what those stickers look like, guys. That's what you were looking at. I'm going to introduce you quickly to something that's a bit more technical. But it's going to be fun to explore. So a solar panel has something called an IV curve. When we were outside with the tester, you guys remember we measured the voltage?
Yes.
The voltage we were measuring was in the region of about 44 volts. Over here it says it should be able to achieve 45.38. When we were outside yesterday we measured 44. And then it started dropping because it was heating up. So 45.38, I'm just writing this down. And then we measured the amps. Do you remember what we measured? How much? It was 3 point. Yeah, I think it was 3.38. It was about 3.4. This one says, so what we measured yesterday, we short-circuited the solar panel. So we connected the positive and the negative to one another. So we short-circuited it, so the current we should have read was short-circuit current, and this one says it should be 2.92. I'm sure we measured about 3. It was 3.3. Okay, so I'm going to take this value over here. We use an I, but what we were measuring was amps. So the amps is going to vary depending on when we took the solar panel and we put it in the shade, the amps dropped. So we said that amps were generated by intensity of light. And we said that volts was generated by presence of light. So guys, what we have on the board over here are two components. We have a V and we have an I. Now a solar panel I just don't want my screen to go to sleep. So a solar panel has something that we call an IV curve. And the IV curve is simply the relationship between the amps and the volts of a solar panel. Yeah. Okay, what this means is we can use this information and we can represent it in a graph. Lindiwe, here's your graph coming right up. The one you were looking at earlier on. The one for MPPT. Yeah, but don't look at the light. A solar panel's IV curve looks like this. The current, the amps, sit over there on that axis, and the volts sit over here on this axis. So when the intensity, so we said I is intensity, when the intensity of light becomes less, this line moves down. Remember when we had the solar panel in full sun, gave us lots of amps. Then when we took it into the shade, it gave us less amps. What we realistically did was we moved this line down, because our intensity, over there I had it in red. So if our intensity drops, the amps will drop. The volts over here actually work on two factors. Over there we said presence. But remember yesterday when we were outside, we had the meter and we started measuring at 44. And the hotter the solar panel became, what happened to the volts? The volts dropped. So the voltage over here has two factors. The one is temperature, and the other one is presence. So if it's very hot, as long as there's presence, there will be volts. Depending on the temperature, the voltage is either going to go that side or the voltage is going to go this side. So this line is going to move. Now, the interesting thing is power is equal to volts times amps. So somewhere on this line, we have the maximum power. Because we have amps there and we have volts here, so where they get together, we have to have the maximum power. you guys following? I'm sorry, I left the solar panel here. Now you can't write properly. Let's just take it out of the way. Okay, so we have max power there. Let me just take a look at that photo again that we had. Look at that, guys. We have written down we've written down the short circuit current. We've written down the open circuit voltage. The issue though is that our short circuit sits there. Now, when we have these two cables open, so I have to just explain this quickly. When we have these two cables open, the circuit is not complete, so we can't have any current flowing. We don't have any amps. And we can measure this. Just grab the tester. So I can measure, I can put my clamp tester on, I can put it on amps, I can put it on DC, and when I measure there, if I measure there, it's going to give me 0 because there's no current flowing because we have an open circuit. So this point over here is open circuit voltage, VOC. Okay, so this point here is VOC. And the VOC we wrote down was 45.38 volts. When we short circuit, the panel, we now have current flowing, but we don't have a voltage. So when and we don't have a voltage because first of all we can't measure it, but if we could open up this box and we could put the terminals there, the voltage would be 0 because this is a short circuit. So this point here, this point where these two lines get together, that point is 0. So when we have an open circuit voltage, the current is 0. And when we have a short circuit current, the voltage is 0. So for short circuit current, it was 2,92 amps. So it was 2,92 amp short circuit current. Now, when we look at the maximum power and we look at the volts and the amps, if we draw this line down, I'm going to stand where you guys can see me. If we draw this line down, that point is VMP. That's operating voltage. Remember earlier on when we measured the voltage on the battery, it was 12.7. And then as soon as we started working with the drill, the voltage dropped. The 12.5 volts that we measured when the drill was working was operating voltage. Am I giving you something to think about? Okay, so here we have VMP, and the VMP according to this one is 36.6 because it has maximum power voltage. VMP is 36.6. So this point is 36.6 volts. And if we draw this line across, that point there is going to be, can you guys guess? This one was VMP and VOC. That one was short circuit current. What's the only one that's left? Maximum power current. It's what we call IMP. MP is for maximum power and the I is for current. Nombuso, this one I think is going to be difficult to record unless you just write down, unless you just recreate the drawing. So we are recording this session. It's going to, you know what the other thing is that I'm thinking of? Is when we upload this to YouTube, it actually gives us the wording. Everything I say is created in subtitles. And we can copy that and paste it into a document. It's going to make summary very much easier. A whole lot easier. Okay, so we've got IMP, and how much is the IMP? 2.73. Okay guys, now where are your calculators? Multiply 2.73 with 36.6. 2.73. Wait, I'll write it down. We want to take 2,73 multiplied by 36.6. That equals? And how big is the solar panel? The solar panel is a 100-watt panel. Do you guys see what we've just done? And it's kind of silly it's kind of silly, but we've taken the specifications out of the nameplate. We multiplied operating voltage with operating current, and it gave us the size of the solar panel. So the P max, maximum power of this panel is 100 watts. Is that better? Sean, it's giving you something to think of. Something that's a bit more technical. Have I lost someone somewhere? Everybody happy with where we are?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So what would the next step be? The next step, I think, would be to understand how low the voltage can go when the panel is hot. Hmm? Do you want to put it outside and check? Did you say mm-mm? Mm-mm. Oh, do you see meant Okay. So what we can do is we can take a panel, we can put it outside and we can leave it in the sun for an hour or two. We can see how hot we can get it. Shall we try that? But I think what we need to do is we need to put one panel on top of another panel so that the heat is trapped. So we're going to take two panels. We're going to short circuit, not this one. We can use this one underneath. And we'll put that one on top of this one because we want to trap the heat. We want to trap the heat in this space over here. So if the one panel lies on top of the other panel, this area is going to become hot. You guys, am I explaining it correctly?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we're just going to put it outside in the sun.
Okay.
We can just run outside quickly. It won't take long. I don't know whether this counts as a practical, but we are just going to sit it outside. Yesterday we measured 44.4. Let's see. We have to leave them for What's the time at the moment? Is it past 11?
Yes.
Okay, so the next thing to do, because we know, so this is a different solar panel. When we look at a inverter, that is the sticker on an inverter. And the sticker says it has a starting voltage of 100 volts. So guys, I'm going to put some pressure on your thinking caps. I think we can take a break after we've kind of gone through this. So the starting voltage is 100 volts. So this is a grid-tied inverter's data sheet or nameplate. And what it says is it starts at 100 volts. So if we use this solar panel, how many solar panels do we need before this inverter is going to start? So according to the nameplate, when the solar panel works, each panel generates 36 volts. So how many panels do we need to reach 100 volts? Okay. Okay. So you've just calculated your first system. But now there are other things we need to look at, because as the panel gets hot, the voltage drops. If this panel is very hot, the voltage might drop below 100. So then the inverter will switch off again. So if we want to be safe, how many panels do we use? 4. Okay. And over here, our maximum voltage for our inverter. Guys, I'm going to complicate it a little bit later, but let's just keep it simple for now. Over here, they give us the MPPT voltage. I'm not going to look at MPPTs just yet. Let's just look at what it's going to take to start it up. And then over here, so there we said we need 4. And over here they say the maximum input voltage, look what they specify, open circuit, is 550. So in order for us to calculate the maximum number of panels in a string, which voltage are we going to be using from the solar panel voltage? The open circuit voltage value. So what is 500? They say the maximum voltage that the inverter can handle is, what's that, 550? What is 550 divided by 45? 12. Okay, so we can go anywhere between 4 panels and 12 panels. This inverter will work. There is a catch. Yo. Yes, 12 panels. So when you get to a site and the customer has a big roof and he has lots of money, you sell him a system with 12 panels. There are other things to consider, we'll get there just yet, but based on the voltage, we can sell him 12 panels. Maybe we give him the quotation for the inverter and 12 panels and he goes, yeah, I don't have enough money. And you go, okay, do you have enough money for an inverter and 6 panels? And he goes, yes. And you go, okay, I know we can have a minimum of 4. Or maybe you get to his roof and you can't use half of the roof and you can only get 4 panels on the roof. Then you know your system will still work.
So the inverter determines the number of panels, basically.
Ah, okay. When you look, so yes, technically yes. So the question is, does the inverter determine the number of panels? And technically yes. But what does this inverter have inside of it? What is an inverter? Remember we spoke about the definitions of inverters yesterday. Was it the day before? When you have an inverter here, so we've got an inverter on that side, we've got DC. So we've got our inverter here, we've got DC on that side and AC on this side. Think of that inverter we've got in the back. So what does an inverter do? It changes electricity from DC to AC. So strictly speaking, the inverter is going to be connected. You've seen MPPT somewhere before. Where did you see it? The charge controller. So the MPPT, this thing doesn't have a charge controller, but it has an MPPT. So the MPPT sits over here. And the MPPT is connected to the inverter. And the solar panels are connected to the MPPT. The MPPT is a device that is added in the factory. So the MPPT can be big or the MPPT can be small. The MPPT can be big and the inverter can be small. So these two, they are not, it's not obvious that what the one can handle, the other one can handle. So you have to read your instructions, you have to read your installation instructions and your manual. But it's not the inverter that determines the number of panels. It's the MPPT. Because the MPPT is connected to the solar. Does that somehow make sense? Somehow. You guys have gone very quiet very quickly.
Then it says number of MPPT. They should two.
Number of
Two of them.
Yes. You've got 2 MPPTs. So this particular inverter doesn't have one. It actually has 2 MPPTs. So instead of just one, it has 2 MPPTs. So that's 1 MPPT, that's 2 MPPT. So you can have solar on that MPPT and you can have solar on this MPPT. So now if the customer has a roof that is a pitched roof, you can have solar on this roof and you can have solar on this roof. Not making sense. Or is it? Annika? Not really making sense. It does. Okay. So you have more than 1 MPPT for places where you have lots of strings or you have different roof orientations. You want to make your system a little bit more flexible. Sure. Is this good?
Yes.
It's a bit further, it's a bit more detailed than. I'm going to give you some more detailed stuff. So guys, if you are going to be selling solar systems, people who sell solar systems don't always need to know this. Because what happens is in solar companies you have an engineer or you have someone that does the design. And what they do is they, as a salesperson, they give you a list. And you sell kits. Oh, now I've wiped the board. Were you guys still making drawings? I didn't even think about that, sorry. So as a sales guy, you get to a solar company and they say we have kit number 1, kit number 2, kit number 3. Kit number 1 would be a 5 kilowatt inverter, 10 panels, 5 kilowatt hour battery. R100,000. Kit number 2 would be a 5 kilowatt inverter, 20 panels, 10 kilowatt hour battery, 150,000. And kit number 3 would be whatever for 200K. So you don't really, as a salesperson, need to know how this works. But what is going to separate you from other sales guys is if you get to the site and this guy says, actually I don't have 100,000 Rand. What's going to separate you from the other sales guys is by saying, well, actually, I can give you 4 panels for 80,000 rand. Or 4 panels for 90,000 rand. Maybe the guy doesn't have 100,000, but maybe he's got 80,000 or he's got 90,000. So that's what you've got to understand. So if this makes sense, you would be able to manipulate what you're selling to suit the customer's budget. Okay. Hehe. Okay. Is it time for another break, guys? Or not yet? Still 30 minutes before the food arrives. Maybe we should go outside, feel how hot the solar panel is and measure the voltage. Okay, I think that's good. I'm going to stop this one quickly.